what it is. It should be okay. So I'll move the food out of the way. If anyone wants it, just grab it up here. We'll try to take an intermission, maybe halfway around, but we have time. So let me know if I'm blocking the screen or anyone can't see, but we have a lot that we need to talk about. I'm going to keep my computer. Oh, 1 second. Okay, we got 11 people on line 2. Okay, everyone, just very briefly, I am keeping my computer muted. So if you are on the computer version, I won't be able to hear you. I'll keep volume on a little bit low. If you are on, oh, I don't need to. Okay, I'll keep it muted. Okay, perfect. Okay, so I don't need to do anything, right? Okay. Okay, guys, so we're going to talk a little about Princeton today. I know we have a lot to cover. I apologize. So our seminars intended to last 2 hours long. I've included a Q&A, but I've had to include a lot of fundamental information. So please bear with me. Yes, question? I think Shan said it should be okay. Let me just double check. Let me just ask him just to double check. Oh, Shan, am I okay? Can they hear me? Oh, you can hear from there? Oh, okay, perfect. Okay, sounds good. Okay, so we'll just get started. I'll let tech handle tech. So first of all, who here is, oh, welcome guys, welcome, take a seat. Yeah, feel free. So very quickly, guys, who here is a former Model UN student? Like who's done Model UN before or is doing Model UN? Please raise your hand all the way up high. Who here is a non-Model UN student? Okay, perfect. And I'll explain everything a little bit down the road. There's a lot to explain. Just so you guys are aware, for Princeton Model UN, we are going to have a pretty specific way that we're going to be recruiting our team. We're going to be taking 16 students. I'll talk all about it, but we will take some debate-specific students, so students that are not in Model UN. So if you're a strong debater and you feel like you have a lot of potential to do well, please feel free to join us, and I'll give you all the specifics. Okay, so there's 5 things we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about Model UN competition overview. We'll talk about Princeton Model UN. We'll talk about our trip logistics, tryouts, and question and answer. If you have a question, I ask that you just write it down. You'll probably forget, and we may not have a chance to talk before the tryouts. So to keep things simple, I recommend just have a paper and pen in front of you. Any questions that come up, write it down. If I don't answer them, more than happy to near the end. Okay, so I'm Nirpan. I am the most senior coach for Linky's Model UN program. I have been here for many years now. I've had the pleasure of coaching our team both in person and virtually throughout a series of competitions. We've had the opportunity to travel to many different places, and I'm excited that you guys are interested in joining us for our trip to Princeton. So for those that are new to Model UN, I'm going to keep this incredibly brief just because my Model students have already heard about this too much. Model UN is a simulation of the United Nations and other related agencies. Instead of just debating for or against something, you are trying to find a solution to an important world problem. So it could be everything from environmental degradation, a war between 2 countries, poverty, disease, any kind of world issue. Your job is to try to figure out how you're going to solve that, and you need to solve that from the perspective of your country. Model UN conferences aren't just formal debate. You are going to also have informal negotiation. You need to go up to people, shake their hand, and say, hey, would you like to work together to create a solution? Yes, feel free to come in, guys. Feel free to come in into the room. Let everyone come in. Okay, perfect. If we need to get more chairs, we can get more chairs. Okay, so for a competition, please feel free to come in. For a Model UN competition, the goal should not just be to crush people with arguments. You're there to also be political. You need to work with other people to pass ideas. And that's why I like Model UN. It's not just a single skill set. You need to master public speaking. You need to master research. You need to master reading. You need to master writing. There's a lot of different skills involved. In Model UN, you will see 2 distinct types of committees. You'll see this is what we call a general assembly or specialized agencies. These are very formal committees. You get topics in advance, you prepare for them, then you debate. And in a committee like this, there is an expectation of what will happen on the day of. General assemblies are the main standard type of Model UN committee. You also have what we call a crisis committee. This is a kind of emergency scenario. Something terrible has happened. Let's say the prime minister was attacked, or Russia has just invaded Canada. Whatever the situation, no matter how dramatic it is, how do you respond? That is the idea behind a crisis committees. Crisis committees are far more advanced and far more fast-paced. They're not better, they're just different. That's the way I look at it. So for anyone here that's interested in a crisis committee, it does require some previous Model UN background knowledge. There's another thing I want to explain so parents and students can understand. A Model UN conference is one of the largest extracurricular conferences in the world. There are thousands of people at some of these conferences. It is vastly different than what you might see at mock trial or debate or public speaking. So in a Model UN, instead of having everybody in a single committee competing against one another, you have multiple committees, almost like individual competitions under this larger conference. So when we take a team to Princeton, we take 16 students, they will not be competing against each other. In fact, they're more likely to all be on their own in different committees. So a student in one committee here is different than the one there, different than the one there, and different than the one there. So the goal should be that when you go to a conference, we absolutely can collaborate, cooperate, work together as a team. Guys, if you need any help with chairs, just let me know. There's a chair up here. There's 2 chairs here, and then maybe 1 more chair. Guys, any empty chairs? Okay, Randy, do you mind just asking Henry? He'll get the chair for you. Randy, you can take a seat here if you'd like. Okay. So for Model UN awards, really simply, there's 3 types of awards. There's a first place, a gavel, a second place, an outstanding delegate, and a third place, an honorable mention. Model UN awards are really coveted. Model UN conferences happen all over the world. The Ivy League has so much demand for Model UN that they will have multiple conferences in each continent. Harvard has a conference in Boston, in Dubai, in China, in Australia. They have it everywhere. Yale has a conference in Korea, in Taiwan. Every Model UN conference is a global presence, and each commands at least 1,000 attendees. And this is the ultimate award. If you really want to win at a Harvard conference, at a Model UN conference, this is the highest place award. We call it gavel. It will be engraved. It will have the name, the date, everything that happened. This is the prestigious award that everyone is fighting over. We have had to do Model UN both in person and online. I remember our online days. I much prefer in person, but I'm happy to see that a lot of us were competing virtually, but now we're going back in person, and in person will be different. When we're at an in-person Model UN conference, this is what an opening ceremonies would look like. This is a picture I took at Kaiman. Kaiman is a conference in Vancouver just prior to COVID. The opening ceremonies will feature over 1,000 people in a room. Teams from all over the world will be there. And your job, after we've all broken up into separate committees, try to convince the committee that you are the strongest leader, the person with the best ideas, the strongest speaker in that room. And honestly, it's a fun time. Sorry, guys, I'm going to move this out of the way just so it doesn't block anyone. Give me one moment. Whoa. Yeah, let me know if anything's interfering or blocking you, but it is a really good time. And I love to see our students do well. And this was from Kaiman a couple of years ago. What I'll mention is, guys, Model UN demand has skyrocketed. This conference is actually taking place this weekend in Vancouver. And I heard, literally, if you go on their website, they actually said they had so many students sign up this year, over 1,100 people, they had to change hotels. So we're expecting Princeton to be well over 1,000 people this year, closer to 1,500. So we're expecting absolutely full capacity. So as a lot of you know, that's why a lot of you guys are in our Model UN program. We have won many awards, easily over 100 awards in the last 4 years. We've won at Sun, Stanford, Cornell, Harvard, Yale, and MIT. Some of the youngest ever Model UN winners at a Harvard competition are literally in this room, and I will have them introduce themselves in just a moment. In addition, we won over 50 awards at the Ivy League level just in the last couple of years. Honestly, we haven't kept track that well. We were the second place team at Princeton in 2021. We did not go last year, primarily because of COVID issues. We're finally going to go back in person again, so we're pretty excited. And we've won many dozens of awards in many different ways. There's something I want to explain just to clarify once again to students. I'll use 2 different words, a delegate versus a delegation. A delegate refers to an individual student or competitor. So if Rennie went to Princeton, she's a delegate. Randy went to Princeton, he's a delegate. But if 20 of all of you go, you are a delegation. You are part of the linked key delegation. So think of this like school or team. So I like to use basketball and sports analogy sometimes, and it matters. When we go to these competitions, because Linky has a very strong team, we were not only the second place team at Princeton the year before, we were the second place team at Stanford. So we have very high expectations for our program, but it's a little bit more complicated than that. There are certain years where we limit the number of people we take to have a better chance at winning a delegation award. A delegation award means that out of the students you have, enough performed at a high level that you qualify as like an overall team, right? So you score a certain number of points. So this year, we are not doing that. We are not trying for a delegation award. We know a lot of people have graduated. We know a lot of people are newer to Model UN. So we're taking a larger team. We're not just taking 8 people, we're taking closer to 16. So because of that, we're not worried about delegation awards. We want to find talent, especially those that are younger, those that we think will become champions. And I will explain a little bit more about how we're going to ensure that in our rubric and in our grading. So one thing you should note, again, because this is like a Princeton prep info session, I know some of you are very new, but I also have a lot of people here who have done Model UN a lot. I need to explain a little bit of strategy. When we compete for delegation awards as linked key, something that you should be aware of is there are things called a small delegation and a large one. A small delegation is out of all the teams at Princeton this year, whichever ones have generally smaller team size, 2 people, 4 people, 10 people, they're considered small delegation. Anything beyond that would be a large delegation. So if we were really competitive, we would focus on having a smaller team and pick every award winner we have. But instead, because we want to bring more talent, we're going to bring up a larger team. Has anyone here been virtually or in person to an Ivy League Model UN conference before? Can you raise your hand? Okay, so we got a couple people at least, so maybe another 6, 7 people. If you've been to an Ivy League Model UN competition before and you prepped with us this summer, you should be in contention at Princeton. You should be able to do well. Because what I always tell people is the first time you go to Princeton, it will be so rough. You've never seen any competition like this. But once you've been there, no matter which Ivy League, Harvard, Yale, Princeton, doesn't matter for me, you absolutely have a chance to win. So if you've been to an Ivy League before, we will take that into consideration. So one final thing, this is just a technical thing, but I know parents and students ask me, is how exactly do they calculate a delegation award? So this is actually secret, and there's a reason. Conferences don't want to tell people, oh, anyone smaller than 10 students is a small delegation, anyone larger than that is large, because then people will actually cut the number of people on their teams. So this is hidden until the competition itself. So you don't have to worry about any of this. It's just for anybody who's in Model UN, this is kind of relevant for you. One more thing you should also be aware of is that points per award vary. Some Ivy League conferences say a best delegate is worth 3 points, outstanding is 2 points, honorable mention is 1 point. But some other conferences say best delegate's worth 9 points, standing is 3, honorable mention is 1. So there's a lot of art to selecting a team. Let me explain one more thing. Model UN coaching. Yes, no, I am not Nick Nurse. Nick Nurse just got fired, but it's okay. It's okay. My job as a Model UN coach is to provide a lot of support for the team. Specifically, this is the hierarchy of what I need to do. I explain this because many parents want to know, like, how does Model UN coaching work? What exactly is my job on the day of the conference? Let's start with the most base, fundamental responsibility I have for your child, health and safety. What I never joke about at all when it's come to anything that comes to health and safety issues. If I feel that you need to leave the conference, either because you've done something wrong and I think you're a liability, or you are not well, we will immediately get you on a plane back. For me, the one thing we never negotiate, never discuss, never have any sort of issues around is health and safety. It is the absolute priority. We will collect information if you're selected for the team. We need to know about everything from allergies to illnesses. If you have an EpiPen, I need to make sure I know how to administer it. Any other kind of health and safety related issue, please be transparent with us. This information will be private. It will not be shared with any other student. But when we go on an overseas trip, and I am responsible for you as your child's guardian on that trip, I need to make sure that everybody is as clear as possible on rules and safety. And that includes respectful behavior. Again, I know a lot of people are excited. They go to Princeton, you see the Americans, they party very hard. but we need to make sure that we are very responsible. Does that make sense, everyone? Next, my next responsibility has to do around registration coordination. I will personally handle a lot of the booking of flights, hotels, everything else needs to happen at the conference. Before I even start coaching, I will make sure that every student is in the right committee. They don't have any issues with the conference. We'll make sure that everything's well organized. After that, it's strategy and preparation. So everyone, a competition like Princeton is not just something you pay for. I'm not interested in that. Linky is not interested in that. We want people who are going to work as a team, who are going to help each other, who are going to prepare together. You're not just looking at this as like a vacation. So every student of the team, I don't care if you're a little bit less competitive, but if you're willing to put in the hours, that makes a difference for me. Finally, we get to what people think of as coaching. In Model UN, at the end of each day, I have the opportunity to sit down and advise students on what I think they're doing well and what they need to improve on. And this advice is crucial because if you're in the middle of a competition, knowing exactly what you need to do differently, like how you change your style or your line of thinking is incredibly important. So if you want to come to Princeton, even if you don't know me, you're going to have to trust my judgment. There will be times where I say, it's up to you. You can make the decision on what to do. There'll be some times where I'll say, you know what, because of my experience, I know exactly what you need to do. You just need to execute it. Sorry, Kale, we won't be taking any questions right now. If you can write it down for later, that would be great. My last part is what I call kind of defensive coaching. I'm also there to ensure the conference itself is running smoothly. I'm not an organizer. I'm not responsible for it. But I'm there to ensure that there's nothing else that would impede our ability to do well, to make sure that all other teams are playing fairly. This is something I keep an eye out on. And honestly, at Princeton, after you get past these layers, it's that defensive coaching that matters the most. I need to be available to make sure that I can see, to ensure no other teams or no other students are engaged in any kind of funny business, to make sure that it's all a fair playing ground. Okay, so just before we get into more Princeton specific detail, sorry, I want to play a video, but I want to see if sound plays. Let me just try. It's just an example of a conference. Give me 1 second. One moment, everyone. So just for those that, again, aren't Model UN students, because I know we got a mix here today, I'll just show you guys what a conference looks like. This was a conference earlier this year called Casman. Linky was not there. It's just a closing video ceremony that they made. You can just see what a Canadian conference looks like.
If you wanna run away with me, I know a galaxy and I could take you for a ride. I had a premonition that we fell into a rhythm where the music don't stop for life. Glitter in the sky, glitter in my eyes, shining just the way I like. If you're feeling like you need a little bit of company, you met me at the perfect time. You want me, I want you, baby, my sugar boo. I'm levitating, the Milky Way, we're renegading. Yeah, 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 yeah. I got you, moonlight, you're my starlight. I need you all night. Come on, dance with me. I'm levitating. You can fly away with me tonight. So you can fly away with me tonight. Baby, let me take you for a ride. Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm levitating. You can fly away with me tonight. So you can fly away with me tonight. Baby, let me take you for a ride. Yeah, 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 yeah. You want me, I want you, baby, my sugar boo. I'm levitating, the Milky Way, we're renegading. I got you, moonlight, you're my starlight. I need you all night. Come on, dance with me. I'm levitating. You can fly away with me tonight.
So on the last, the second half of the conference,
Baby, let me
they
take
will
you
have some
for a
kind of
ride.
like
Yeah,
party,
yeah, yeah,
something
yeah. I'm levitating. You can fly
that will be
away with me
supervised by the
tonight.
conference, so you don't have to worry about it.
Me tonight. Baby, let me take you for a
Because by the last day, all the awards are decided.
I got you, moonlight, you're my starlight. I need you all night. Come on, dance with me. I'm levitating. You, moonlight, you're my starlight. I need you all night. Come on, dance with me. I'm levitating.
Okay, so that's by the way, that is a high school run conference in Vancouver. So you can only imagine what a university-run conference by Princeton will look like. So unfortunately, they don't really have a recap video this year, but I'm very excited to be there. So let's talk specifically Princeton. Everyone kind of on the same page now about Model UN conferences? Everyone got a general idea? Okay. For Princeton, these are some of the key dates and times. The conference is taking place November 6th to 19th, 2023. So that's a Thursday to a Sunday. The location is East Brunswick, New Jersey. The venue is the Hilton East Brunswick Hotel, which is where the conference will be held. So it's run by Princeton students. It's part of like some kind of Princeton IR society. So it's all official Princeton, but they run everything in a hotel facility. They rent out all the meeting rooms, and all the hotels are filled with Princeton students. And the eligibility is high school students only. I will make a note just so people are aware. Even though technically only high school students can attend Princeton, that's not our rule. That's a Princeton rule. I have invited some students younger than that today so they can participate in our tryout process. Our tryout process is something I'll describe later, but it is a rigorous 2.5-hour exam that we're going to be running with some of our TAs here so that you can actually get marked feedback on how well you're performing. And it won't just come from me, because a lot of the students know me, right? So therefore, my feedback is not as impactful. Better to have your peers judge you for you. Okay. Yes, I'll just wait a moment. So one thing you should know, does everyone see where it says East Brunswick, New Jersey? East Brunswick, New Jersey is not where we land. There is like Newark, where we land, Newark Liberty Airport. There's East Brunswick, then there's Princeton. We're kind of between Princeton and the airport. So that's just something to keep in mind. And it's something that, you should keep in mind when we talk about our school bus in just a moment. Okay, visiting Princeton University. In previous years, Princeton has said that they will, that they actually include a trip to Princeton in the conference fee. So they arrange a bus from the conference to go visit the university, usually like a Friday morning. But they haven't released that details yet. They're going to release rest of the information, maybe I would say in like a month or so, but we're probably going to register before that. So please be aware that I cannot promise that we're attending Princeton or it's included in the fee. In the past, that's what they did, but I just can't promise it. And I just want people to make sure they understand when we go to a competition like Princeton, I may not even want to visit, right? The challenge is if we're taking off 3 or 4 hours in the middle of a really important competition, even though they give a break to go visit the university, it's a severe disadvantage. So I would recommend maybe only for the least competitive students within the team to consider this trip. I know people love to go to Princeton, and I won't stop you. I'll leave it up to each family to decide. And on the trip, I will be there and Henry will be there as well. So I'll be focused more on the competition. I will physically be in the hotel. I'll be prepping everyone all day, all night, but Henry may be able to accompany the students there. But for me, bless you, yeah. And for me, it really just depends on the personal interests of the parents and students. But again, I'm going to be clear. You're more than free to go, but it is a disadvantage. An extra 4 hours of prep can make or break during the competition. Guys, again, I won't take any questions right now. Please just write it down. I'll take questions later. Okay, electronics policy. Princeton is incredibly strict. They have a no electronics policy whatsoever. No electronics can be used outside of committee or inside of committee for drafting working papers. The only time is you can go back to your hotel room if you want to research. That means that you've got to be so good at Model UN, you can commit to memory how you're going to be writing these documents, right? So you need to know the formatting inside and out. We will train this over the summer. We will practice, we'll drill it, but there are no electronics. But I like this because this reduces the chance of cheating and a million other problems that you can run into. So by keeping everything on paper and pen, you know that person has to physically do it. No one can say, oh, I lost your USB. Oh, the email didn't work. Oh, no, yeah, we typed that in 2 seconds. This avoids a lot of the problems that you can run into in Model UN. Crisis application. For those that are interested in going to Princeton, for those that knows like what a crisis committee is, who wants to do a crisis committee? Anyone? Okay, a couple people, right? So for crisis, it requires a supplementary application, not to me, but to Princeton. Princeton will request an additional application if you want to be in a crisis committee because they're smaller. They're going to vet every person to see if they have sufficient experience. And I will approve whether you can apply at all. But I'm going to be pretty broad, honestly, guys, because I don't want us all in the same committee. So another thing, faculty advisor policy. It's not clear if I can bring parents. I don't know. I don't know if we can bring parents. Harvard, for example, is so strict on this. They say if you have like under 20 people, I think in the past we saw some conferences, you can only bring 2 faculty advisors. Anything more than that, maximum 3. And if me and Henry are going, we wouldn't even meet the criteria. I think Princeton might be a little bit more relaxed, but I cannot promise that parents will get a spot. None of that's included in the fees. We also are renting a school bus, which I'll talk about, to get from the airport to the hotel. We're only renting a school bus of 21 spots. If we're taking 16 students, myself and Henry, if parents are allowed to come, we only have 3 more spots at most, right? So I'm going to have to leave that up to parents and the school to work it out, but we cannot guarantee that parents will have a spot. The reason is they don't just consider you parents. They consider you coaches, any adult. They consider that all of you guys are going to be helping training. I know practically many parents just want to observe and see what it's like, but the conference also has rules to ensure that schools aren't having some sort of unreasonable advantage or unreasonable situation. Now let's talk about Linky's PMUNC trip. And guys, am I moving too quickly or is everyone following? Everyone okay? Okay, thank you. So this is the total trip cost. It is $1,700 Canadian. So this includes a flight round trip, Pearson to Newark Liberty Airport, includes a hotel. We're going to be renting out a school bus. It includes coaching and supervision, all of the Princeton conference fees and administrative fees. This is based on 16 students attending. So for this trip, there is some numbers here that we've only given rough estimates, specifically hotel. Hotel prices are in public, but they gave us like a rough idea of what it might look like. So I'm basing it off of that estimate, kind of based on years past as well. So we expect that this should be the price that we have in the next 30 days. We are not going to be waiting a long time to book these flights. We can't. The longer we wait, the higher the flight tickets are going to go and the more expensive the trip's going to be. And we have a bit of a buffer. So hopefully this price doesn't change. But in the case that there is some issue, before you actually register and pay, we will inform people. But as of right now, we are on track for this price, even if we book like 3 weeks from now. Is that okay? So I appreciate everyone's understanding. I just like some of these things are out of our control. Okay, so the PMUNC trip, this is what it doesn't include. This is important too. It doesn't include conference preparation. So no extra classes. Doesn't include getting to Pearson Airport, but I think everyone can kind of drive there. And it doesn't include meals. For meals, in the past, they've also had a meal plan, but that's optional per student. I don't have pricing estimates on that. If there is a meal plan, I recommend you take it. Just makes your life easy. But these are the things that are not included. I wish we could be cheaper, guys, but honestly, Canadian dollar is kind of weak right now. Every time we convert like a USD into CAD, it's ridiculously expensive. The bus is really sad. I had to make a very difficult choice regarding the bus. So this is very quickly the distance between the airport and the conference hotel. It's an hour and a half, an hour 45 minutes by public transit. I honestly considered this. This would be more than 10 times cheaper as a public transportation option, but we would also be exhausted. We'd waste 2 hours when we get to Princeton. So we decided to pay the premium and rent a school bus. So I hope everyone understands our decision. There is the cheaper option, which is we take 3 different trains and we eventually get to Princeton's conference hotel, but it's just not worth it. I don't want to have a disadvantage where we're exhausted because we just flew and then had to take another 3 buses to get to Hilton, New Brunswick. Okay, so yeah, as I mentioned before, a lot of these things are tentative, and if anything happens, we'll inform you in advance. Okay, next thing. These are the flight details. So tentatively, we're going to be departing from Pearson Airport 5 a.m. We're going to arrive at 5 a.m., depart at 8:10 a.m. Guys, I know it's like 3 hours, but honestly, when you have a group of 16 people, the chance for error goes up dramatically. We will be there at 5 a.m. We will arrive 9:45 a.m. Newark time. And from Newark, we're going to be leaving Sunday night around 5:40 p.m. We're going to get there 5:40 p.m., leave 8:40, and we'll be back by 10:21 p.m. EST, which is not bad. You guys can go to school tomorrow, so we'll need Thursday, Friday off from school. But Saturday, Sunday is just the weekend. Does that make sense, everyone? Yes, on Thursday. Yeah, so you only have to miss 2 days of school. Okay, this is something that's really important. I want to make sure everybody understands this. The prices that I got the cheapest seats I could for flights to get pricing estimates. It includes 1 personal item and 1 checked luggage, but refunds are not possible. I'm going to say this again. Air Canada will not refund us. I actually went through this situation recently. It doesn't matter if you have a replacement student. It doesn't matter what the reason is. Like, even if I had another person who says, I'd like to take that ticket, can I just transfer over? They don't even allow that anymore. They say, when you get the cheapest ticket, you give up everything. Don't get mad at me. You can blame Air Canada. But the thing is that unfortunately, no matter what happens, they will not refund you. So once you're committed, we're going to book and pay 16 tickets. I'm going to do it myself. Please make sure you're committed to this trip. Does that make sense, everyone? It's just not something I can control. For the hotel, this is pretty standard for Model UN. Model UN conference take place in a hotel. There's going to be 4 students per room. There'll be 2 beds. You guys can share however you'd like. This is not the first time we've done this trip. It's pretty common. You guys can sleep on the floor. You can sleep on the couch. You can do whatever you want. But that's your arrangement. I let students figure this out. And on top of that, I will decide room assignments, but you can give me a recommendation. If there's a bunch of feuds going on, just tell me so I don't have people go at each other. But I think it'll be fun. It'll be fun. And refunds and reimbursements, honestly, guys, because we just want to focus on the trip, I'm just saying this as a disclaimer. Linky and we just cannot offer any kind of refunds unless it's like a severe health emergency. In that case, we'll try to do everything we can. Something like terrible happens, we understand. But other than that, if it's just an inconvenience, if you have another exam, anything like that, we just can't refund you. That's all it is. If we find a replacement student, we're not just going to keep your money. Whatever we get back and whatever we can refund you, we will. But we can't promise anything, right? Does that make sense, everyone? Okay. And by the way, that's another reason why taking these tryouts matters, is because if anyone does drop out last minute, we will keep a ranking. We will have a wait list. So if anybody drops out last minute, whoever's on the top of the wait list, they get the spot. So summer classes, we have changed now. We're not going to be running an L3. Instead, I'm going to be teaching an L1 and L2, and Anthony will be teaching L1, L2 in North York. But for my classes in Mississauga and Markham, we will have a Princeton-related prep class instead of L3. We expect all students will join at least July or August, one of the semesters. Classes will be Sundays and Wednesdays, both Mississauga and Markham. Our Princeton prep class will be rough, very, very rough. Anyone is welcome to join. You do have to be sworn to privacy. I'll make you swear an oath if I have to, but we are very secretive. Guys, I mean it. The prep we do in a conference like this or a conference prep class like this is crucial. We probably won't get country assignments by that time, but anything we do, our strategies, how we develop the team, what we apply for, every single thing that we do stays in that class. But if anybody wants to train like us, even if you don't make the team, even if you're younger than high school, you're welcome to try. But because if I feel like for some reason you're not a good fit, I might ask you just join the level 2. Please don't take it personally, right? Anyone who I think is competent and mature enough should join the level 3, but not everyone. Sorry, for the PMUNC prep class. Okay. This is just like a small comment. I know everyone knows this. Awards are never guaranteed. We have no idea the outcomes of this trip, but if you prepare hard and you follow Princeton prep, both in July and in August and whatever we do in the fall, if you do everything that we offer you, you will be ready and in contention. In contention means that you're one of the few people they're going to pick award winners from. We can't guarantee it's going to be you, but generally, if you follow our prep to the letter, we will make sure that you're ready. That's how I design my curriculum. But again, key thing is students should not treat PMUNC as a vacation or a field trip. Guys, if you want to go on a vacation, you go on a vacation. This is not what Princeton is for. I know a lot of people want an excuse to go to the United States. This is not it. I want to make sure whoever's on this trip wants to be here. I'm okay taking 1 or 2 fewer awards if it means the students that we take are so motivated and dedicated. At the end of the day, the whole point of Linky is learning and enrichment. It's not just awards. We want to make sure our kids are capable and they're smarter and they do well. And sometimes that means awards and sometimes it doesn't, but that's okay. Finally, tryouts. This is a big thing. So we, in the past, haven't really had to do tryouts. We either just had the capacity of coaches where we could easily take as many people as we wanted, but we also are running into like practical problems. There's only so many people that I can take in person at a conference. And Princeton also doesn't guarantee unlimited spots, right? These conferences, 1, don't like independent students registering because it's greater logistical effort. But 2, it's not always a guarantee that you can even get 17 spots. I think it's reasonable because we won at Princeton before as the outstanding small delegation. But these conferences, I've heard a lot of stories where another teacher I knew at like a full-time school who said she was trying to get her team 16 spots for 9-month, right? Which is a conference of 3,300 people in Washington, D.C. So she's like the actual teacher of a full-time school. And they said, no, 16 is too much. We can only give you 12, right? Think about it. 3,300 people went to 9-month this year. In Washington, only 12 people got spots. So I think we're taking a very generous estimate in saying that we can take 16 students with us to Princeton. So I hope everyone understands. I wish we could have more spots, but we have our limitations. Does that make sense, everyone? So for tryouts, let's take a look here. So I'd like to finally introduce our teaching assistants. Can I have David Meng, Emily Fan, and Hallie Ma please come up? So guys, I won't introduce them. They will. I'll add a little bit more at the end. Very briefly, though, these are some of the strongest students that we've ever had at Linky. They're still in high school. Hallie is only grade 7, but these students have accomplished incredible things. I'll let them talk about it. And they are going to be your teaching assistants. So why don't you guys introduce yourselves first, then I'll add more detail. Go ahead, guys.
For Model UN, I've been at Linked Key for around 6 years now. Some of my achievements include winning 3rd place at Princeton in 2021. And thank you. And in my free time, I like writing music or drawing, though my academic passions include researching cardiovascular disease with a professor. And for all those that are attending, I hope we have a fruitful time at Princeton, and I can't wait to see you all at tryouts next week. And without further ado, I'll move it on to Emily.
Yeah, just hold it. I'm
okay.
Not sure.
Hi, my name is Emily. I'm also in grade 10. I go to University of Toronto Schools, so UTS. I've been doing MUN since grade 6, so this is my 4th year. Some of my awards include, last year I set the world record for the youngest award winner at Harvard World MUN, which is Harvard's university level conference. I've also won East Coast, I've won West Coast. I currently also work with research with a Cornell professor, as well as working with a Harvard lawyer for a project. So.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Hallie Ma. I'm currently in grade 7, and I'm attending Camilla Road Senior Public School. I started Model United Nations when I was in grade 5, so this is almost my 3rd year mark. Over the years, I've attended more than 10 conferences, and fortunately, I won at 9 of them. Some of my most prestigious awards, though, include holding the title for the youngest award winner at Harvard MUN Dubai, and most recently winning a gavel at SUNS. So this is what it looks like.
Oh, can you raise it up high? Yeah.
Currently, at the moment, I'm attending or going to be attending the PAGE program, which is a program located in Ontario where I serve and greet the Ontario politicians at Queen's Park in Toronto. Overall, I'm unfortunately not going to be able to attend the conference, but I'm going to be helping host the tryouts next Sunday. So I'm excited to see you guys next week.
Thanks so much. You can hang on to it for a second. So guys, just before we take a seat down, anyway, any questions for our TA? So I'm going to quickly recap. Our TA is honestly incredible. They have been students with Linky for a very long time. And I don't know if you heard, but I'll recap really quickly. David won at Princeton 2 years ago, working with the professor. Emily, youngest person ever to win at the Harvard University level in grade 9. So she did that last year. And on top of that, now she's working with Harvard and Cornell professor. And Hallie already won at SUNS, which is a high school conference, 1st place, youngest student to win at Harvard Model UN Dubai and any Harvard high school conference, from my understanding. And now she's going to be at Queen's Park tomorrow. So she's going to be meeting all these famous politicians. She's too busy for us now, guys. It's very impressive. So guys, very quickly, can I hear any questions at all? Anyone wants to hear from our TAs? Anything they want to know? Because I know you guys have questions for me, but I feel like questions for TA is more impressive. Yeah, go ahead.
Really doesn't matter which. Word choice, due to the fact that if you're a large developed nation, you'll get attacked a lot more. But as a developing nation, you might have to be more innovative. So it really just all depends on your situation.
Sorry, I couldn't find David's one virtually. I'm sorry, we need a copy. So, sorry guys, it's only whatever we have pictures of. So one more thing I want to add in. So how the tea is going to work, and I'll explain in just a moment. When we have tryouts next week, it won't just be me judging. There will be like a formal rubric. It'll be myself, Hallie, Emily, and David. We will all be judging together. So there'll be some segments, for example, like marking, but we'll just divide amongst ourselves. But then when we have an impromptu simulation, and when we do these kind of group activities, and I'll explain what they are, each one of us will be dividing and marking different groups. So you may have the opportunity to have me help mark, you may have one of the students here, but honestly, guys, they are exceptional in Model UN. They're incredible. They're absolutely qualified, more than qualified to do any kind of tryout. Are there any other questions, guys? Some of them have to leave a little bit early, very busy people. By the way, the reason Hallie isn't joining us for Princeton is not because she's too busy. I was just kind of a joke. Is because Hallie wants to go, but she's actually a little bit too young to qualify. So just like some of you are in middle school, guys, it's not a Linky or Nearpan rule. Just like how some of you younger than high school can't go, Princeton has also said even Hallie can't go. It just happens, guys. It happens. Any other questions, guys? Okay, you guys can take a seat. Thank you so much. I can leave it right there. Oh, sorry, Caleb. Yeah, question. Go ahead.
It was called the Puppet Master, where it was set back into 2016, and we were discussing the political scale.
I think my personal favorite is one that I did recently. So this year I was with Nearpan at Casmon. So I did the Spanish Civil War. So as a delegate, I specialize a lot in historical and crisis committees. So doing a war council is always really fun.
All right, well, I would say my favorite is Princeton. The obvious answer.
And David, can you show your t-shirt real quick? Just make sure everyone sees it.
Yeah. Yeah, from the Ivy. So, so you might be thinking, well, he probably likes Princeton because he won there. But the actual reason is, at Princeton last year, or no, 2 years ago now, we were assigned, some of us, as double delegations. So for example, I was with Andrew in the back there. And what actually happened was we got our assignments only less than a week in advance. So the two of us had to do a lot of rigorous research and preparation, and it sort of required like a level of coordination that even surpasses like a normal Model UN conference. So it was definitely a very unique experience for me.
Okay, perfect. Any other questions, guys? Okay, thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Oh yeah, I'll move the bar. It's just because I have another slide coming up. Guys, some of our TAs have to leave early, but for anyone that sticks around near the end, I'll try to wrap up a few minutes early so you have a chance to chat with them and learn more. Okay, so let's take a look right here. This is a breakdown of how our team's going to work. I want to make sure people understand this. So We are taking 16 people. We are all one team. We have 2 head delegates. Formally, it's Emily Fan, but we also have David Meng being a co-head delegate. Emily is going to be focusing on leading the girls. Again, all on the same team, but this is more practical. Emily will generally be kind of the mentor for the girls. David will be the mentor for the guys. They're both joining us this year at Princeton. During the tryouts, we will have a scoring system, and I'll explain it, but you'll essentially get marks out of 100. Depending on how many marks you get, you will get one of these slots. We are generally going to take 8 boys, 8 girls. It's not going to change. There is a scenario where maybe like 90% of people that try out are girls, and we change this a little bit. But one of the reasons we keep it even, like, 4 or 8, has to do with hotel rooms. Hotel rooms are dramatically cheaper when there are 4 people to a room. It's just a practical consideration. And we also want to try to keep these, trips as affordable as possible. That's why we've kind of made that decision that we think this is a reasonable format. So what will happen is we'll do the score. People will be slotted in. It's all going to happen at once. If we reach spot number 7 and there isn't a student in this list that's from our newer campuses, so think like Markham, North York, online. No one has been selected from our newer campus because, again, they're younger. It's a newer program, and you're also eligible. So that means they're in high school. That means they will get the spot. So we're guaranteeing just a minimum of 1 spot to our smaller, newer campuses. And that's just because they're newer to Model UN. Therefore, we think that's important to have the representatives. Finally, we're going to reserve our last 2 spots. If no one here is a debate student or a mock trial student, we will reserve the last spot for each team for one of our debate, mock trial, any non-Model UN students. Does that make sense? So even if you've never done Model UN before, you now have a chance to join the team. This is a bit of an experiment we're running at Linky this year. The goal is specifically to try to find talent outside of our Model UN program that might do well at this competition. Because, like I mentioned before, we're not focused on delegation awards. We want to take students that we think have a lot of potential. That's why we're trying out this year. I'm not sure we're going to do this in the future, but honestly, I'm excited for this because I have seen many of our debate students for Matt, for Jenny, for Brent, and they are exceptional. And we have so many incredible debate coaches. I'm looking forward to seeing how you guys perform during our tryouts. Okay, who qualifies as a non-Model UN student? These are the 2 conditions. You've never taken a Model UN class before, Linky or otherwise, or one of the camps that we have offered. But this doesn't include a trial class. That doesn't matter. And you've never attended a Model UN conference or a related conference. If you've attended like a Model Congress, you can just message us and I'll make the determination. Some are like Model UN, some are not. So as long as you haven't done these 2 things, you qualify as a non-Model UN student. Does everyone understand this? Make sense? Okay, these are the tryouts overview. Write this down. Make sure you forget. Don't show up late. We're going to be there Sunday, June 4th, 2023, 6:30 p.m. To 9 p.m. Let me correct that. I apologize. That is a small error on my part. I apologize, guys. It's 6:30 to 9 p.m. Let's take that once again. So there will be a 3-part exam, a written test, a pre-written working paper, and an impromptu crisis simulation. Just a note, because I know some alumni came back, if you have already won with Linked Key at a Model UN conference at the Ivy League, or in general, if you've won at the Ivy League in Model UN, you don't have to do the tryouts, just so you're aware. But for those that are eligible, those that haven't, you will have to do this exam. For this 3-part exam, let's go over the details. This is the schedule. Yeah. Wow, I'm old. Okay, thank you for showing me. I appreciate it. It's like how I show my grandmother things. Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it. So let's take a look here. This is our written exam. So when we show up, it's going to be let's say 6:40, 6:45. We're going to have instructions. 6:45 to 7:15, it's going to be a written exam. 7:15 to 7:20, we'll change classrooms. 7:20 to 8 o'clock, we'll have a prepared topic. 8 to 8:05, return to the main classroom. And 8:05 to 9, we'll have an impromptu group simulation. Some of these things might slightly change. Any kind of changes will be sent by email. But essentially, you have 30 minutes for a written exam, 40 minutes for a prepared topic, and then 55 minutes for an impromptu group crisis simulation. Is everyone here aware of crisis? For those that don't know, I can maybe explain a little bit later, but this is what we're going to be doing. There'll be 3 parts to this. Even if you're a debate student, you'll be marked by the same rubric, But a lot of these things are going to be things that feel natural. Is anyone who's a debate student here? Do you guys know what POIs are in debate? We also have POIs in Model UN. The only difference, you do it after the speech is over. So what will happen is you will have a prepared document you're ordered to create. And based on those documents, you will attack and defend. So there are some other limitations. This is just practical. We will only take 32 students. There is a $30 fee. It's just minimal to cover costs. We compensate all of our teaching assistants. Takes a lot of time to write these materials. It's just to cover any expenses we incur. And please dress formally. So can everyone make sure they are dressed formally for our tryouts? The reason we ask this is we want our students to be serious, right? It's very easy to find out who takes it seriously if they're willing to dress up. If you just don't show up and you eat up that spot for someone else, it doesn't matter if you pay the $30, you're not getting that back. For us, we won't allow you to attend any future tryouts. For us, we want to make sure people who show up are committed and they don't interfere for anyone else. This is how the written test will work. There will be a mix of multiple choice and short answer questions. Multiple choice will be simple and straightforward. There'll be rules of procedure related questions. Generally, like how does Model UN work? If you're a Model UN student, you'll ace it with flying colors. Short answer, you'll get questions about geography, culture, language, economics, and politics. In theory, anyone can answer these questions. They're not just Model UN specific. It requires your understanding of the world, your knowledge base. I will have a mix of questions that I expect students at different levels to get. Some questions that I think everyone will get, some questions that I think only a few students will. This is not the kind of test where you should expect to get 100%. Actually, I'm expecting that no one gets 100%. The goal is to just try to find out how well you can do. And there will be half marks. Do what you can. Second part, for those that know Model UN, you will have to pre-write a working paper, submit it to Linky by Saturday, June 3rd by 11 p.m. This working paper will, the details, like what the topic is, will be sent out once you are paid and registered. So we're going to send out tomorrow night. So I'm going to have Xian over here collect everyone's emails. We will send out registration. Once you pay and register, we'll email you back with all the details. That means you get about 5 days to write a working paper. These working papers, on the day of the conference, you will have a printout. So we're going to divide into 4 groups. Let's try to imagine this next Sunday. 32 people here. After the written exam, we get 5 minutes. 8 people randomly we put into each room. In each room, everyone gets a copy of everyone else's working paper. We're going to do this rapid fire. You get the paper, person has 60 seconds to present. You come up, you say, hey, these are my ideas. This is why my paper has value. Then people in the audience will POI and attack your paper, and you have to defend against that. And we will do 3 POIs per paper. We'll do that for every single paper. So what that means is every person in your room may be creating a paper about the exact same topic you wrote. So you got to make sure whatever ideas you present are unique. They're not just common ideas that anyone else will think of. And working paper requirements, don't worry guys, some of this we'll send by email, so you don't have to stress too much. Working paper requirements, 1 to 2 pages max, 5 main clauses, no limits of subclauses. Again, if you're a debate student, do not worry. You're not being judged like a Model UN student. You're being judged like a debate student. And finally, you only need your name, no other details. Just get straight to the point. Also, late papers won't be accepted. Guys, Linky works really hard. You have Shan, Mr. Ye, and Henry here. They're going to have to print out a lot. Think about it, right? 8 papers per student, like 8 copies of a paper per student, times 32 students, times another like many pages for the exam. They're going to be doing hundreds of pages of printing. So that means they need the time to do this. They're busy people. They can't even see their families or their children because they're working so hard here. So I need to make sure people understand. We just won't accept it. I don't want to put them through it. It's not fair to the staff here. And regardless of if you submit a paper, it's okay for a debate student. It doesn't matter too much, but we appreciate the effort. We'll give you some resources if you're interested on where you can find like a sample. It's nice to try, but regardless of whether you submit a paper, show up to the tryouts because that does matter. And finally, this is the thing that I think debate students and non-modeling students can excel at. This is how our crisis simulation is going to work. You're going to show up in that last hour. There's going to be no preparation. We're just going to give you a topic. That topic is going to be some issue between tomorrow and Saturday that's in the news. Seriously, it could be anything. I don't even know. If like New Zealand declares war on Australia tomorrow, that's very likely to be on the crisis test. Whatever happens, these are some sample of major news sources like the CBC, BBC, Al Jazeera, The Economist, Foreign Affairs, Reuters. And your job is to debate these issues. You'll be given a country randomly. You'll randomly get a country, and your job is to make solutions. It doesn't mean you have to even be cooperative. If you're the aggressor country, if you're the one that actually caused the problem, if like a war breaks out, you got to defend your invasion, right? So whatever the case is, it's on the spot thinking. That's it. There is no prep time. You will show up. There will be a topic on the board when you come back. Here's your country. We're going to get started. And the expectation is within that 60 minutes, you are going to have some kind of quick solutions. Okay. And this is the process. So everybody should follow this. We will send you a Google link form later tomorrow. You'll pay $30 to info@linky.com. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. Okay, I'll change that. Give me 1 second. Sorry, payments at linky.com. One moment, everyone. Just a little bit of lag. Okay, there we go. Correction, payment at linky.com. You'll send the $30. Once you do, you'll receive a standard email. No additional information will be provided to you. That email will be clear cut. Everything you need will be in that email, and it will be limited. We want to see what you can do on your own. We want to see how creative you can be. You'll email your resolution to info@linky.com by Saturday, June 3rd. Apologies, guys. Small corrections. Yeah. No, we're going to be sending it out tomorrow, not today. Okay, yeah, let's just do that. Yeah, sorry. Oh, yeah, for sure. Sorry, yeah, we can definitely. Okay, perfect. So guys, in that case, Linky will send out a link to like our contest registration page where you can send in that information. Is that okay, everyone? But before you go today, please just leave your emails if you're like not new to Linky. Just if you've attended, just write down your information. That way, Xian and rest of Linky can make sure that you get the information that you need. Does that make sense, everyone? Okay. Okay, so yeah, we already talked about it. Oh, if anybody here automatically qualifies, does anyone here automatically qualify for Princeton? Oh, is it just Andrew and Dave? Okay, David, you don't have to worry about it. Andrew, in your case, you just got to make your decision by Tuesday. Okay, so by Tuesday, let me know. If you say yes right now, I'll update my slide. So, okay, sounds good. So you make your decision when you're ready. That means that spot will be gone. So this is going to be the breakdown. These things might modify. 15% will have to do with prior experience and bonuses. If you've won awards in debate, if you won awards in mock trial, if you have done any kind of successful thing in a public speaking activity, you get bonus points. If you are a Linky student, we're going to have a system where it's going to be capped, but depending on how many classes you've taken with us, like how many years you've been in Model UN or other related courses, you get bonus points. And on top of that, there will be one more thing. If you are a student currently in grade 8 or grade 9, you also get bonus points. The reason is if we think you're highly talented, we want to balance for that. Because at the end of the day, students that are older, we expect them to deliver. But students that are younger have the benefit of becoming better over time. So there will be bonuses for younger students. It'll be minor. Like we're talking 2%, 3%, 4%. It just will make or break the difference if that's the case. The written test is only 30 minutes long, is 15%, very straightforward. Prepared topic is 35%, and impromptu simulation is 35%. So there's a lot of things we're going to grade on. I'm just going to give you guys a high-level overview. Vocabulary, knowledge base, mastery of rules of procedure, clarity of speech, argumentation, pronunciation, enunciation, and more. I'm going to give a lot of freedom for our teaching assistants to judge as they see fit. There will be a rubric, but I will not micromanage them. They know what champions look like. They are champions in their own right. They can make the call. So that's how we're going to have a pretty fair, but somewhat flexible marking system. If this scares you, good. I don't want the students that are afraid to come with us to Princeton. you have to really get over a lot of your fears, because no matter how scary this is, Princeton will be 1,000 times more. But we can also say that if you help join us with all our prep, at least you'll be ready for a competition like this. Yeah, Emily, go ahead. Depends on time. I think it'll be time-based availability. Yeah. Okay, so for appealing decisions, if you have anything like content related, something to do with like actual model UN, competition specific, like I want to do crisis, I want to do GA, please don't bother the front desk. They don't know, they won't help you. I will make all final decisions regarding competition. Anything not academic related, it all rests with Linky. Please don't ask me about like a summer class discount. I actually don't know. So please talk to Henry or talk to the front desk. That's what they're supposed to do. So again, guys, anything academic, feel free to reach out to me. I will try to work with you in some cases. Like for example, you have like some technical question, like should my working paper be formatted a certain way? I may or may not give specific advice, just so everybody's aware. We're almost done, guys. We're almost done. So finally, this is your timeline. Tomorrow or tomorrow morning, we'll send out an email, register for tryouts. There'll be something on the Linky portal. Saturday, June 3rd, last day to submit your working paper. Sunday, June 4th, tryouts. The day after, because remember, me, myself, David, Emily, and Hallie will stay here after the tryouts until like 10 p.m. and we will do marking and we will send out the results the next day. So we'll probably say you can either pick it up or maybe just send you like a picture of it. So you will actually get your results back. So we're not going to hide people's scores. This is not something that's ambiguous or vague, or we're going to be like, oh yeah, I like this one student, let's give him extra 10 points and not tell anyone. It's not going to be like this. This will be publicly available. We're not going to publicly release how people rank. You can talk to each other. That's up to you. But we are at least going to give you guys feedback. What did you do right? What did you do wrong? What do you think we can improve on? What other feedbacks do we have? Which is something that felt weird or unnatural. So if you're younger than high school, I would actually say this is really useful information. So everybody will get feedback regardless. You get that package, and I think it's going to be beneficial. So once we send out results June 5th, the 16 students will know who they are. They have essentially a week to decide and to pay. If they decide for whatever reason, they don't want to go or they're not interested, or they just do the tryouts, but they have like a conflict, an exam or a test, then whoever's on the wait list, whichever spots are not filled, they have another week to decide. And that's it, guys. We're sending payment in June. We're not going to do something where, you know, a lot of schools run into trouble where teachers wait like months and months to register, or you're doing it last minute. We don't like any of those problems. We register early. We get everything booked early. We are paying in June for a conference in November. We will make sure that we are the first in line at Linky to get our country assignments. That still might mean we only have a couple week advantage. We might only get it in September, but we will get every incremental advantage that we can. Does that make sense, everyone? Okay, finally, question and answer. So guys, I just give a round of applause to everyone for their patience. I appreciate it. I know people are very tired. It's been a long day. I do want to give a break. So guys, do me a favor, just pass around the remaining Timbits that we have. These kids need food, pass them around, we're good. So let's pass it, yeah, just pass it along. We go in columns. Try to share, guys. Guys, when I was saying in the beginning, yes, I didn't expect this much audience. Guys, Hallie and Emily are heading out. Any questions for them? Any questions at all? Guys, any questions for Hallie or Emily? We're good. Okay, thank you so much, guys. Thank you. Oh, we got questions on the computer. Okay, I have a question from Emily virtually. So, hey guys, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. I apologize, everyone. Oh, hey guys, sorry about that. So Emily virtually has said, is summer training on site or can it be done online? Unfortunately, this is all in person. We won't be doing any kind of virtual Princeton prep class. We need people to be there, like to be here to meet the team. Virtual is, you know, has so many advantages, just not this time. It's not something we're considering. Any other questions, guys? Yes. The 100%. So 2 hours long. So twice a week. Henry, could you do me a favor? Henry, do you mind just checking the Linky portal when our Princeton prep classes so I can tell the students the time? So I know the class is Sunday, Wednesday, but do you mind just telling me specifically Do you mind just asking Xian what time the Princeton prep class is?
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. 1 second.
Okay.
Also, guys,
Oh, guys, decorum for a second, please. Decorum for one moment. Yeah.
on the portal sign up form should be ready momentarily.
Oh, we're good. Okay, perfect.
And you don't need to, send the payment through the email transfer payment@linky.com. You can just pay directly on the Linky portal by using your credit card.
Oh, okay,
Okay.
perfect.
So,
All right, guys. So just a quick update. Linky has contest registration information up. You don't have to send payment directly to an email. I am old. You can just do the online portal. Apparently, we can do that now. So no need to wait. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions, guys? Guys, we have more tidbits. So if anyone wants it, take them. Yeah. Oh, share my screen on the Linky portal. One second. Like this?
Yeah.
One moment. Oh, I see here. So level 3 Princeton. Okay, there. Here, let me just screen share. Okay, everyone. And guys, by the way, everyone, I'll give everyone a quick recess because I know people are tired. I know I would like you guys to kind of meet each other and chat for a bit. By the way, if anyone wants food, we still have more. So very quickly for Princeton prep class time, so people are aware. We're going to be doing Sundays and Wednesdays. It's going to be 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Sundays and Wednesdays. Yes, this is, well, anyone can technically join, but you know what I mean. Yeah.
Harry.